Welcome to our Divine Constellation podcast. And we're consisting of the people you see here, the lovely faces, which is Jim and Antonio and myself, Katharina, and also Rebecca, who's not here with us right now, but who will be joining us from time to time. She's part of this constellation, and as are you. So thank you for being here with us, for your presence. Today we will talk about one of the three pillars that are in focus at the core of our work together, basically, which is conscious relating, which we talked about in the first episode, community, which we will talk about today, and then another pillar is heart-centered leadership, which we will talk about next time. And before we start, I will invite you to a little ritual that we do every time the 3 or 4 of us meet, which is to tune in silence. And so I will invite us all to take a minute to just be present and tune in. I will set the timer, starting now. Okay, that's 1 minute. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so today we're dedicating our time to community, and this is actually what brought us together, which was the call to commune, to come together, to build something beyond ourselves, to build a space that holds or that nourishes, that inspires, that connects us with each other and also with something beyond ourselves. As a constellation, as a network that gives space to our full humanness, but also to what wants to come through us, to our creation power, to the love and light that we as individuals, but also as a constellation, want to bring into this world. And I prepared 2 quotes while I was meditating on and contemplating the topic of community, which I've been exploring for some years now. And I'm just going to read them to you and let them sink in first. So it is, I am self-led and responsibly embedded in community. And the second one is, community offers space for my full humanness, meeting me with gentle awareness and kind, clear boundaries when I don't know yet how to.
Can you read that one again? Has more parts in.
It is. So community offers space for my full humanness, meeting me with gentle awareness and kind, clear boundaries when I don't yet know how.
Yeah.
So for me, this is referring to the topic of structure within community. So what I feel a community needs, and I'm just going to give a little example of my own becoming and my own personal transformation with that up until now. Because just as you described last time, Antonio, on this path of awakening, we fall into this space of loneliness first, and I was there too. There was this, or being alone, and where everything's just turning kind of upside down and inside out even, and suddenly it's just I felt like I didn't even know how to relate to myself in that phase, because everything, like all the parameters, were changing. And in this phase, there was, because I was very well connected before that, I was very social. People called me, I remember this one friend calling me a social butterfly. I was always a networker, thriving in networks and thriving with people and having a role there. And that's something that fuels me. But in this phase, I just couldn't. And this idea came, or this deep longing for a community out of this loneliness. And when I connected to people who are on a similar path, I realized it's not just my own longing, but community is something that many of us are longing for, especially. Or I feel like it's a different longing for community than I had before. I wasn't really longing for. I was connected in a different way to society, to people, which is not to value one above the other, but just as a description. And so, but I noticed within myself that it was kind of not just an idea, but it was an ideal also. I placed somewhere out of myself. It was something like somewhere in the clouds, like this ideal way of relating to each other. And there's love, and there's community, and there's consciousness. And then I went into different, or I was in different containers for healing, for learning, for growth, that were just maybe a certain period of like 6-7 weeks. And I started connecting to people, and what was the remedy there for me at first was noticing there's other people out there like me who have a similar longing, who have a similar path and similar symptoms of this loneliness, of this longing to connect in a different way. And then I started a women's circle with a whole different kind of commitment. And it's been 1.5 years now, and we're meeting each other twice every week. And it's so we meet each other very continuously. And it's a very big commitment, time-wise and energy-wise. And I noticed there that at the first, I was very much, as I was in the other settings, the one caring for others, the networker, being aware of other people's needs more than my own. And through this continuity and the structure it holds, I dropped out of this mechanism that I have when I first go into community. And I realized that I was rebelling against the structure. I didn't want the structure anymore, because there I realized how burned I've been by structures, that I felt I had to adapt. I felt I had to be something different than I needed or I wanted to be, or I am actually, not I want, but I am. So I didn't want to adapt anymore. I didn't want to compromise anymore. And all these things came up, and there was this phase where I wanted to go out, like wanted to leave, and I could have left at any point, but something held me there. I mean, the women in there probably helped me there in the community that we had. But I realized that I needed the structure, actually, that I was refusing at this point, because it was showing me something. It was showing me where and how I go out of community, and at what points I'm closing off of being connected to people. And this is what I feel is so beautiful in community too, where kind of the self expands beyond. And it's not like you have that in a personal relationship, in an intimate relationship with one person as well. But when there's many people, or like it's like 10 women, then you have 10 mirrors of yourself, and you have this dance with boundaries and aspects of myself I had there that I didn't know, that I never faced in a way like I did there, because of the commitment, because of the structure, because of the continuity as well. And it was so easy to just exit and be like, oh no, this is not for me. These people are not understanding me. I need something deeper. I need this and this and this. And it was so interesting for me to explore myself in this, and why I want out, and what is suddenly not good enough. So coming back to the quotes I put at the beginning, and then I'm going to open for us to dive into this, is I feel like it's important for a community to hold a structure where all of this is welcome, but it still holds boundaries and an awareness and a clear communication as well. But also me coming into it, I have my own responsibility to deal with these things. I mean, the community mirrors them back to me and they can support me, but it's me who has to take self-responsibility. And not just, because that's the thing also I meant with this ideal. And I see there's a lot of people coming together and wanting to be in community, but facing a lot of struggles when you really grounded in the day-to-day reality of really being in relationship with these people and what it actually means. And this is something I find that's the sweet spot I want to meet, and that's what I'm really curious about exploring with you guys and exploring in general. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Katharina, for sharing your story. It was really nice to get to know you more deeply in that.
Very welcome.
Your journey with community. Well, there's a lot of things too. Mm-hmm. It made me think now at the end about one of the best friends that I made in Boston was a monk, and an Orthodox monk, and the way he talked about the monastery is just a group of people that have come here to work on themselves. And I think one of the ideals of community is a monastery. There are many types of communities, but monasteries are communities of people who gather for awakening, to really bring that consciousness in, to invite that interpersonal element of our consciousness to shine through, and to use each other as a mirror. He said something also when I met him, he didn't have a mirror. And he said, my brothers are that for me.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, gold dust. I'm just listening to gold dust here. I love what you said, Katharina. I really love those two quotes. One of the quotes talked about, I've written it down because it was so good, full humanness. And isn't that interesting? Is this not full humanness? And no, it isn't. It's not until until the self is, like you also said, the self is able to expand beyond just the little me and my little, like me and Antonio were talking a little bit earlier, me and my problems, when really there aren't any problems. And I know I know many people will say that that's not true, but yeah, and being allowed to come into full humanness and express it and enjoy that, and enjoy it with other people. And the idea of the monastery, I I love the idea of living in a monastery. I love the idea of going away and just doing that work, on myself,
Yeah.
with myself.
Mm.
And at the same time, I don't think I'm allowed to do that. I think I also love the concept of a Buddha in daily life and being able to be that person in the middle of all of the crap and the stuff and the war and everything that's going on, and being able to find that. But again, as soon as I start talking about that, it makes me feel very lonely and singular.
Uh-huh.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, which I really liked your story, to hear your story, Katharina, as well.
Hmm. Thank you. Yeah, I actually feel like I've been thinking about I'm constantly thinking about the current situation of the world. And I feel like community as a structure is so important right now, because the division and the separateness is really what gives um, the fruitful, or how do you say that in English? The fruitful ground for the soil for it to
The
grow.
soil for
Yeah.
conflict. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
fertile ground, fertile.
Fertile ground. Thank you, for conflict and for division and for authoritarian leaders. So I feel like coming together, and I so feel you in that, what you said, Jim. How many times have I thought to just, I don't know, go somewhere and retreat and be with myself, with nature, and just with people
Same here.
praying? I mean, yes, amen. Sign me up for it. But there's also this call, like, I know I can't, that's not what I'm here for. It's really not what I'm here for. And sometimes
Yeah.
I I shout at my soul, like, did you really sign me up for this? Why? There's also this anger sometimes, this frustration that comes with it, that I feel really deeply. Yeah.
But I think that's the calling.
Hmm.
It's interesting that what Jim mentioned, that we're kind of like, is it like monks? Like not
Uh,
within a monastery, not within an organized religion, but we are kind of that.
lay
Lay,
monks, lay
yeah,
monks.
lay monks, kind of.
Hmm.
And you are doing that, and you, Katharina, too, and here I am too, doing the same exact thing. And we feel that sort of loneliness, and because we look around and we see everyone else living in a different way, and it's like you have to apply this constant kind of like pressure on your environment. At least that's how I experience it right now when I came back to Madrid,
Hmm.
and yet that longing is what probably is one of the driving forces to have us
Hmm.
be here right now. We are meant to
Exactly.
create that.
Hmm.
We cannot just stay in the loneliness or in the, oh, no one understands me. Like, okay, go out there and find the people who do, who
Hmm.
are in
Yeah,
the same exact path, which is
Hmm.
that of turning the world into your monastery.
yeah, yeah, and also there's that. When the Buddha he left the original Buddha left his palace or whatever it was, and then went and lived as an ascetic for 6 years, and then gave that up and went and sat under the Bodhi tree and came to enlightenment. If you read the story of it, he came to enlightenment and then said to himself, "Right, I'm not sharing this with anyone." No, but realized that's not the way.
Hmm.
That no, the right way for humanity, for humanness, for what is it? That full humanness or full humaneness is to be able to embed how we see the world, so that other people feel that they're not alone and are able to be a part
Hmm.
of something that they really value and kind of treasure. And I love religion. And if I put a but after that, that means I don't love religion. So I love religion, full stop.
And
And it's the cause of so much suffering, and it has been the cause of so much segregation and suffering and limitation. what would happen if the three of us, which is what we've been doing all this time, if the three of us come together and say, okay, well, what is religion? For example, if I ask you, what is religion? It's God, it's coming together, it's connection, it's prayer or praying, it's scripture or spiritual teachings. Can there not be a way? Obviously, I don't want to build a religion, but can there not be a way of creating a constellation where each person comes to a system and is able to add to it and make it limitless or bigger or more than what it is, instead of what is happening at the moment where I feel alone, I want to belong to something, I go belong to something, but I have to comply, I have to remove part of myself so that I can be in that. Do you know what I mean? And that's I think that's a big problem that many people find at the moment.
Yeah, but I also feel, and that's what I noticed about myself, that because of previous experiences, which is what you're talking about, Jim, right now, which is what you've experienced yourself, which is also what history teaches us, this having to adapt to certain rules, and to compromise yourself. But I've noticed that myself, I have this internalized. So even when I go to a space that allows for something else, I will bring this. I will bring this limitation, and probably even other members. So it's also a practice of deconditioning, of creating experiences that are like corrective experiences for our nervous systems, that community can be different, that meeting others can be different than what we've learned. And this is like one of the biggest remedies I find for like until now, or that I found in spaces like that, that we, that's also what I mean by meeting ourselves in our full humanness, because that's part of it, the conditioning, our problems, the things that we face, the things that we struggle with, they're part of our full humanness. It's not just our godly essence and the light, but it's also that, the cracks that the light shine through and the parts where it doesn't yet shine through. So how can we meet ourselves with that and create a space where each one that comes can softly and gently open and see, oh, wow, there's actually something else here. And this is then what nurtures us to go out into our own lives, the real world again, and be different and be a different example. And I feel like we can create these spaces of corrective experience for ourselves and for others. Yeah.
Here we are. This is what we've
Here
been
we
doing
are.
for the last 6 months. Just exploring this. Just to clarify, this is the second episode, but before this we met for like 6 months or so. Once every couple of weeks. Just being together, not knowing where this was going towards, but it was just sitting down together. And kind of exploring, like, at least for me, it was like, who are you to me? And I would look at you and see those human limitations and those cracks and those things of that limited part of our humanity, but at the same time just the light of life coming through, and it's just one light. There were some really powerful experiences of that too, in those 5 minutes of meditation at the beginning, or even in the moments when we had kind of like crisis of where is this going towards, we don't know. Even holding that in that light, like, okay, there is fear, there is uncertainty, but we can hold on to what we know is true, which is we're safe. The light is here. It will guide us.
Yeah.
Whatever this is, the commitment is to allow it to grow from that deeper. Going back to your first quote, I am self-led. I wanted to ask, is that self with lower S or capital S?
Good question. It's
I
both.
think
It's both. Yeah.
yeah,
I was
definitely
actually
allowing that capital S to come through. Mm.
that was one of my learnings from 2025, to allow that capital S to come through, because I was so convinced I have to do this all on my own. Also, one of my conditionings. I'm a
Yeah,
lone wolf. No one's gonna fend for me and my security, which is, I mean, part of my history. So to keep me safe, I had to control, which also means I'm not allowing guidance. I mean, I was allowing it in, but it was like coming through tiny spaces, and
yeah,
this the surrendering is coming from there is was a challenge, but it was one of the most beautiful learnings of the last year for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the use of the word control and self control and real, honest, genuine, deep listening, which is
Mm.
what a community has to be or have. It's really hard to do when you don't have self control. And when there is no, when one is not able to be in control of one's mind, well, then the mind just goes off and starts
Mm.
thinking and organizing and having to win and achieve and accomplish and be better than someone else, and and all of the
Mm.
kind of status games that the mind loves to play. But what I love about our coming together is that it's a self control that we're all building together that isn't punishment based. I'm not punishing myself in a kind of self controlled way. I'm opening myself to be able to really genuinely listen to you guys. And because there is no answer, and we don't know, like Antonio says, we don't know where we're going, but there's a common uh, understanding. There's a common, in a way, need for a community that is actually a community, not a community that just says it's a community. You know,
Mm.
yeah,
I would, listening to you, I noticed that the word control gives me a contraction,
mm.
and I know what you mean, but that's what I meant. That's what I found for myself, the word leadership, leading myself, or even navigating myself, and always coming back, even if these thoughts are there, just noticing, and then leading myself back, leading myself, or navigating, guiding myself through something, which for me is a different, because I mean we see that in the world right now, which where control equals leadership and equals power, and for me leadership is really leading the way, and leading myself through. That's how I
yeah. I much prefer that. Yeah, that's a much
Mhm.
better way of looking at it, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. Wow, fantastic.
Okay, thank you so much. I
Uh,
have,
uh,
yeah, Antonio.
no, I was just gonna say that that was a good ending to lead into the third session, which will be
Yes,
about leadership
Yeah.
exactly.
and just tie it together.
Exactly. And to end this, I have a question for all of us, actually. Um, and the question is, what are two or three things, qualities that you bring to a community? And what are two or three things that you want to receive from a community? I can go first because I've prepared for this. um, but I'm going to feel into it again. So, what I bring to a community space is depth, is guidance, and curious exploration. And what I want to receive from community is mm, inspiration, fullness, whatever that means, it just comes came to me. And joy.
I just wrote down fullness as you said the word fullness. Yeah. Antonio, yours?
Your question, the first question, made me think of my sister, who she's in a beautiful moment right now because she's living her 10-year career in consulting and honoring her real calling, which is to paint. And she gave us, to each member of the family, a little painting, a watercolor, depicting a quality that we bring into her life. And mine was silence. And so I think that's one of the qualities that I bring into a community, which is silence, which is not just being quiet. It's something deeper, something energetic. I've dedicated a lot of time to cultivating silence within, and that kind of like, just as when you sit next to someone who is really anxious and you just start feeling anxious, it's the same thing with silence. It just starts to permeate the room. And so that, and maybe music. Sometimes I play my songs, and that's a nice thing to share too. And then something that I would like to receive from a community. It's a bit paradoxical, but the opportunity to give, and that is not always available. Some people are not, they're too close, too afraid. You cannot really express yourself authentically, which might sometimes be big. It might be a too honest or too deep or too much, you know. Like I'm always going into these like metaphysical places and or sharing something that might, some truths are even scary, hard to hear. And so hanging out with people who are wide containers, who are empty bowls, so that I can pour myself into the world and be truly as abundant as I long to be. And of course that happens with everyone. Love always finds a way to express itself in the world, and it doesn't have to be big but I just have a lot of fun when I can really share myself as openly as I would like to.
Wow, fantastic. And I will finish on what do I bring? It's a difficult one. I think honor and integrity and holding something. And what I receive? Yeah, the fullness of that. I receive the fruit of my labor, which is a constellation that actually might just work. Yeah. Because a constellation is about unity. It's a unifiedness. It's a sharing. It's a group of people who are able to actually share, which means to be able to actually share, there must be unconditionalness to much of the communication or exchange. So yeah, that. And thank you so much, Katharina, as well. And
That's a good
Antonio.
question.
Yeah.
Thank you both. Okay. Thank you for your presence if you tuned in, and yeah. See you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Maya, thank you guys.